Hi, this is the wrap-up video for this year's 3D Sculpting Daily Challenge that I did in April, and for the 7th year in a row I do a 3D sculpt of a character. It's all fan art every day for a month. And I opened with Beastman. I have done multiple Masters of the Universe characters before, and it's like my lucky charm to open with one of them, and this year's it was Beastman. I'm happy with the look. It was tricky to match the look of the original cartoon. These are other characters that I've done in previous years. Gex. For day 2 I did Gex. I love this kind of mascotty platformer character from the games of the 90s, and oddly enough I did this character, and a few days later there was this news all over that some demo for a scrapped game, Gex Jr., had just been made public. The Nightmare Before Christmas, Dr. Finkelstein, I always also try to make some either character from The Nightmare Before Christmas or characters from some stop-motion movies from Laika or from Aardman. I always loved the look of those, and I try to have them present in my challenge. Inspector Gadget, also one of my favorite cartoons back in the day. I had tried to include him before. I think I started sculpting him either last year or the year before, and I abandoned it, and now I went back and finished it because of I always wanted to have it instead of abandon him. I also always try to have some Star Wars character in my challenge, and Queen Amidala, the first look of the movie is so iconic. I always wanted to replicate it, but it was very difficult and it was intimidating, but I'm pretty happy with the result. It looks okay. I like even the embroidering. I always try to have also a Marvel character, and this year I didn't really know what to do. I tried to do either one of the X-Men or something like that, but this year I needed to do something easy because Queen Amidala had taken too long and I had very little time to do something on this day, so Miss Minutes was a savior. I love all Disney traditional animation and the Renaissance as well, and these characters I really love. The Caterpillar is also another character that I had tried to do on a previous year and I had abandoned because I couldn't really find the likeness and the face and the thing, but I'm pretty happy now that I revisited it with how it turned out. Here is another Marvel character, too close to the previous one, but well, also Doctor Doom was one that I wanted to do for years, and I tried. I wasn't sure. I'm not very happy. I didn't do a lot of detail. I did the mask, and I was happy with the mask, and I went on with the rest. Squid Game had been the sensation of the year, and I thought the doll was very much up my alley, and it was fun to make. It was also something relatively simple that I needed to make because it was another day that I had very little time, and I'm happy with the result. The Phantom of the Opera is another property that I always try to have also in my challenge, and this year I did Carlotta. It was a very elaborate costume. Even when I did it, I simplified it, but it still has a lot of details. I had to make a lot of, between the jewelry and the costume, I had to make a lot of IMM brushes of my own, and the prop head. Mortal Kombat, another property that I also try to cover every year, and Quan Chi is a character that I wanted to do for years, and I was a bit intimidated by the sort of gear and the armor thing. Funny enough, the Shinnok amulet that he's holding in his hand is a model that I made possibly like 11 years ago, and I made it my avatar back in the day at the Mortal Kombat forums. Didi I did also because I needed something simple, and she wasn't, it wasn't easy. It was harder than I thought it would be. I like all of this era of Cartoon Network characters, and I also wanted to have one of them, and Didi felt like the right one to do this year. Knight. I never played this game, I never owned any of the consoles, but I remember back in the day, it was so heavily advertised. This was like a very influential game by the Sonic team, and it was all over. I remember having like full-page ads and even some special little books that came with magazines and everything, so it was like super influential. The Hamlet Factory was co-created by a guy I follow, and by then the show still had not come out yet on Adult Swim, and so I made this based on some promotional material, thinking it'd be fun, and it was. I love the original show. I love Phil Jameson. He co-created them with Jeremy Kaplowitz, and I just wanted to do this. Hollow Knight was also something that I've done before. I love the design of the characters. We're all really looking forward to Silksong, and I wanted to do one of the bosses, and I tried something else. I don't remember by now. I'm recording this in December. I did it in April, but I tried something else and it didn't work, and then I decided this guy would be the best. Silent Hill, another property that I love. I love all the games, especially the original ones. And I've done monsters and characters before, and this sort of broken doll of a spidery boss was a very fun one to make, and it was ideal for this year. Street Fighter, another property that I love. I have done some characters before. I did a very safe Chun-Li. I'm not super happy with the result, but I feel like it's an iconic character that's recognizable and it sort of works, but it's like a bad fan art. I wish I could have taken more time and made her more pose and less symmetric. Disenchantment, I love all the Matt Groening shows I've done. Simpsons characters, I've done Futurama characters before, so I finally wanted to make Elfo or one of the Disenchantment characters, so I gave it a try. I'm not super happy with the result. It was also a kind of a simple one to make, and it looks unfinished. I love the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and I've been wanting to do one of the characters for years. I've always wanted to do either one of the Flintstones or something, and this year I thought of Rosie, and she was also ideal and very fun to make. Yeah, a mixture of hard surface with something still very curvy and very cartoony. Asterix is also another property that I've done before. I've done Asterix and Obelix, and it's always very fun. I always loved this character because if I got him in a Kinder Egg, like years and years ago, and I had him and I loved him. So recreating him now was fun. I love the Ray Harryhausen movies and characters, and his stop motion, his creature effects, and I always wanted to recreate one of his characters, and this was a lot of fun to make. I hope it's sort of recognizable. I ended up changing a few things. I think it's okay. The Neverhood was another game that I loved, and Skull Monkeys. It was so original. I loved the music, I loved the art and the look and feel of it. And it was very fun doing this guy and trying to give it that clay sort of look, and that I think I love the finishing. I love the actual material, even when it's very simple of a model. Cuphead, I love also the style and this retro sort of 30s, 40s cartoons, and I've been looking at making some more characters, and I thought of the bosses, and I thought Hilda had a really fun design, and it was also, again, a mixture of hard surface with the cogs and the machinery and the actual face being very cartoony and would be fun. Labyrinth and the Jim Henson movies are something that I grew up with and that I love, and that they probably made me who I am. So I always wanted to make more characters from those movies, and this guy was a bit of a last-minute solution for that, because I was a bit lost. Tunic, I absolutely loved the art and the game, and I made this one based more in the promotional material than the actual in-game look of the character. It ended up giving me an unexpected satisfaction. My main render became a daily deviation over at DeviantArt. I never thought in a million years I'd get a daily deviation. I love also the Don Bluth movies, and I always wanted to make some character from one of those, and I never could. I'm always about to make something from either Thumbelina or something, and it never worked. So now I've finally thought of Queen Norga, and she's slightly different, but I'm pretty happy with the result. La Planète Sauvage, I've always loved. It blew my mind when I saw it. The style is so wonderful, so recognizable. So again, a sort of retro futurism, and it was very fun to try to recreate, and people have liked it. Also, Studio Ghibli is another property that I always want to have represented in my challenge. And this year was also very hard to find what to do until I thought of this guy, and it was a lot of fun. It was very funny. The result was great. Batman the Animated Series was also great. I loved it. It meant so much to me that I always wanted to make some character in that style and with that look. And Ra's al Ghul felt great. I thought like it was something I could do. It wasn't all that complicated. And one more to my list of villains. Jurassic Park and Jurassic World is also another property that I love, and I always like to make some dinosaurs. It's generally the most ambitious sculpt of the year, because if it's so detailed, I have to make all the scales and all the little details and the poly painting, and on top of all, now I had all of the spikes and everything, but I'm pretty satisfied with it. So I did the challenge in April, and only now in December I'm being able to complete this video. I been working on different stuff over the year, and now at the end of the year my computer broke, so it was all a nightmare, and only now I'm going back to normal. But something that I did this year was a project that I did between June and September that required me to do some animation on a level that I had never done before. It's the third time that I make this kind of video, but this year it was a lot more ambitious. I made some type of animation that I have never done before. For one was a little sort of Star Wars parody, and the other was a parody of the Hamlet Factory, which I also did in my challenge this year. So having to animate these characters, I discovered a whole new form of animation that I had never attempted before, and it really blew my mind. This opened up a whole new world for me of possibilities of things that I've always wanted to do but never could. I even ended up doing a couple of voices for this myself.
Gaga, guwawa, popo, shamp, nufufu. Freaking Master Unifil never told you what happened to your father.
And it was a lot of fun. I certainly see more of this in my future. I will make some more animations. I'm already trying out with some renders of my older characters. I'm making some little animations. It's all sort of rudimentary, but it's been a lot of fun, and I'm still learning, and there's so much possibilities. I'm using a software that's been used to make major animated features, and the possibilities are limitless. I mean, I went to film school. I didn't graduate, and I'm a frustrated everything, but this is something I've always wanted to do, telling stories. But obviously, live action is expensive, and it takes a village, and it's so complicated. Traditional animation was always impossible because I can't really draw, let alone 24 times per second. The 3D stuff that I do, rigging it and animating it and rendering the animations is a whole other set of skills that I don't have, a whole other set of programs that I don't know how to use. So this suddenly came and gave me an opportunity to animate, to do two-dimensional animations of my 3D characters' renders, and this is what I did for the video that I did this year. To have the models in 3D allows me to render the character in every angle that I need, and then I break it down into 2D animated rigs, and I can animate it. So that's something that I always wanted to do, and I knew that people did it with After Effects, but After Effects and I don't get along for some reason, so I always wanted to do stuff like this, either for animatics or for just some simpler motion comics, or now for full-blown animations, and I absolutely see myself doing that in the future. I'm already working on what's going to be my 2023 animated project, and hopefully my first animated short film, and that's what's in store from me for this channel and for next year. I am very excited. I'm a little intimidated right now. I come from my computer breaking and all of that, but I'm trying now to get back into the things that I love and the things that I want to make for the future. So expect that sooner or later. I'm going to have a little something to show and to share in this channel. Again, thanks for watching. Happy New Year. See you around.